This is Dennis Black, and this is your communications tip for the week. As we finish March and our session on operations communication, we're going to focus, in addition to the previous techniques that we learned the last 3 weeks, on core principles that not only pertain in business, but to your personal life as well. I think they're ones that will help everyone in communication between disciplines to understand how to communicate more effectively and efficiently. The first principle is to focus on the situation at hand, not the person involved. When you interact with someone, make sure you deal with the business-related situation, not potential personality clashes. People can accept questions that you pose to them regarding getting resolution to a problem, and they even can accept critique as long as they do not feel personally attacked. So remember to focus on the facts, not the character, so your message gets through more efficiently and effectively, and the communication becomes a clear, concise message. That's our first principle. The second one is to maintain individuals' self-confidence. When you communicate with people, they'll be able to interact with you more effectively if they feel they are treated with respect versus disdain. When you speak to someone, look for the opportunity to recognize those things that the individual does well or could potentially do well in any interaction you have with them. When we talk about this, there are some classic examples to highlight this point. When someone feels that you speak down to them or condescendingly to them about getting a job done, they will still pursue getting it done, but remember how they were talked to versus talked with. Then, more importantly, one of the big things I stress in every communication when I work between sales and operations is one of the best opportunities to show you care is when someone does a good job to point that out. If someone does a faster job on turnaround, moves a file to the head of the pile to get it done and out so the client gets that clear to close condition met, make sure you take the time to acknowledge, thank you for what you did, I really appreciate it. Versus when someone does something, goes an extraordinary extra step, you don't acknowledge it at all and you don't say a thing. Then they wonder if you acknowledged it, but most importantly, if you appreciated it. People will do a lot for other people if they feel recognized and respected. The third core principle is to maintain constructive versus destructive relationships. Many conversations start off in a negative tone, in particular when sales or a customer interacts with an operations person. Why isn't this done? When will it get done? And the tone of the conversation has a negative ring to it. One of the things we've all heard in all of our whole life is treat people the way you like to be treated. Deal with today's issues in a way that will make dealing with them tomorrow easier. Build a relationship that's constructive versus tear it down, which is destructive. The fourth principle is always take the initiative to improve your work environment. If you see a minor problem that exists between departments or between sales and operations, don't wait for minor problems to become major problems. Take responsibility. Don't wait for someone else to handle a simple communications issue. Identify it, work together to resolve it. You do not need to involve management for most common issues. And one of the things to really understand as we go to our final fifth principle is lead by example with positive communication skills. Actions do speak louder than words. And when you think of the actions you take, there are 5 components to always understand. First, choose the right priority. Many times the right priority is to do what your customer, whether it be a fellow operations person, a loan officer, or customer is asking, versus hold your ground and stick to policy and procedure. The second is to make fair decisions. Sometimes you have to say no, but be able to explain it and do what you can to at least alleviate that initial rebuttal and try and show them some positive optimism. We've talked on the third point, deal constructively. It's so important. We all work together, and in today's time, this is more critical than ever to try and create a harmonious, respectful relationship. One of the big ones is item 4 here. Make appropriate trade-offs between quality and cost. When we think about improving communication, it isn't throwing dollars at the problem. It isn't bringing in new equipment. It's interacting more effectively and efficiently together, solving problems, listening to each other, making sure there's clarity on the points, and then most importantly, the last item in this section, deal with change and foster innovation. We think about operations communication. We think about being in the mortgage industry. The one constant in our industry is change. If you can't handle that, you're in the wrong business. I believe most of you on this call understand that. The dynamics of change, not only in our world, but in our industry. Every day is different. Every file is different, yet we stay in this industry because we have an affection and an affinity to really enjoy it. So therefore, our final communication tip and wrapping up operations training in March is always work together, not only in business, but in your communities. This is Dennis Black, and that's your communication tip of the week.